Welcome to the Module 4, Corporate Social Responsibility, Communication Theories and Models. I am your reporter, Norman Ralph Isla. We have discussed in the previous topics about other communication theories and models, and now we will focus to the people-centered theories. As we have discussed in the CSR as emerging field, we need to consider many people as well as our stakeholders in deciding for the better plans for our corporate social responsibility programs. For academic institutions like universities CSR, we need to consider our students, faculty and staff, and alumni. On the other hand, for the community corporate social responsibility programs, we should also consider the other three, like our stakeholders, our partners, and our community. Here, we will discuss the people-centered theories under the CSR communication. We have the following: behavior change theory, legitimacy theory, and the Hallahan's theory of framing. Under the behavior change theory, we have the other three: social cognitive theory, theory of planned behavior, and trans-theoretical model. Now, we will try to discuss each of the theories, and we will try to explicate what and for whom these particular theories and model are. Now, we will discuss the behavior change theory. These particular theories and sub-theories are actually focused on the behavior of the people surrounding the specific CSR or the institution itself. So now, before an institution decides for what is the program for CSR, they need to know first the behavior of the community and the people surrounding their institution. First one is the social cognitive theory. From the word itself, social cognition is needed, as well as external factors influence the people. If the community is poor, for example, their behavior is also affected. Behavior is affected by the environment and personal factors like our choices, our preferences, as well as what they want and whom they are voting for, and considerably their lifestyles. Other factors that needed to be considered are the following: self-efficacy, self-control, emotional coping, observational learning, and reinforcements. This is according to Bandura, 1986. In social cognitive theory, it is very important to check the behavior of the community so that the CSR of the institution can decide what is best for the community and its people. Next is the theory of planned behavior. Under the theory of planned behavior, intention is the must carry out the behavior based on the attitude of the individual, one's belief and values, and the subjective norms of that specific community, according to Grizzle 2007. The person's perceived control of behavior is important to determine. For example, there are communities and tribes, even in the Philippines, that they don't want to be helped. They like what their culture is, they like what their tradition is, and they don't want to be helped at all. These particular values should also be considered by the CSR and the institution before helping, because at the end of the day, it is always the intention and perceived behavior that can control the tenets of this theory. At the end of the day, only those people who wanted to be helped must be helped by the institution, whether academic or corporate. And the trans-theoretical model. Trans-theoretical model follows the assertion that behavior is also important in selecting the best CSR for the community, but it follows strictly 6 stages. First is the pre-contemplation. We need to think. Contemplation. We need to reflect. Preparation. We need to see what is needed for the community. Action. We are now doing for the best for the community. Maintenance. We need to sustain the program. And termination. When does the program need to be ending? In this particular 6 stages, we need to consider that each program, like extension programs at university, before pursuing it as a program and initiative, they should consider when it will be ending. Because at the end of the day, every help has an end. According to trans-theoretical model, behavior change interventions can be guided by this framework to ensure proper practice in advocacy. Raising awareness, continuous motivation, and maintenance are always vital. Because some programs like extension programs by the universities must address only the problem for certain 1 to 2 years. Because some problems are actually have solution. It could be short term or long term. But at the end of the day as well in trans-theoretical model, the community as in the CSRs of the institution should always consider that there is always solution even of the worst of the problems. Let's go to the second theory in the list, legitimacy theory. Empirical studies have shown that corporations engage in CSR fundamentally because of stakeholders, and this process aids organizational legitimacy. Yes, indeed, for the organization to be recognized in the community, they should have a CSR for them to be legitimately part of the community. We have to understand that inefficient CSR communication often increases stakeholder skepticism. They tend to bash, hate a specific academic or corporate institution by just their CSR choices and as well as how they communicate their CSR programs. This is one of the reasons why the CSR communication process differs from general communication. For example, in general communication, sender to receiver relationship doesn't need any more of feedback, while for the CSR communication, feedback is very important so that the academic or the corporate CSR communication institution must be able to gauge what is needed. Organizational legitimacy has much to do with corporate behavior and the social norms set by society, and in this case, it is the stakeholders. There are plenty of definitions on the legitimacy theory. One is by Dowling and Pfeffer, 1975, where it was posited as social values associated with business activities consistent with accepted behavioral norms in larger social systems. In addition, Freeman 1984 stated that organizational legitimacy likewise relies on a favorable social performance. In short, again, for the community to recognize a certain CSR program, the academic and corporate institution must provide one so that they will be considered a legitimate part of their community. Third, Hallahan's theory of framing. Hallahan 1999's theory of framing embodies messages and responses on the intended audience. There were 7 modes and models defined. One is situations, attributes, choices, actions, issues, responsibility, and news. These paradigms of communication framing are tenets of the rhetorical theory, systems theory, and the critical theory. As you can see in the diagram, the consideration of the academic or corporate institution in selecting their CSR is through either ethical, ecological, and philanthropic reasons. After they have considered the following, they will now provide what is needed by the community. After that, they go directly to the attitude toward the company of how does the community sees the company and the institution itself. Next is the attitude toward the product or the program, wherein, after we provide a CSR program and initiative, it is up to the community on how they gauge the importance of that particular initiative. And lastly, the purchasing intention, or how does the influence of the specific CSR affect the people and how they are benefiting from it. In Hallahan's theory of framing, the importance is always on the side of the people. As you can see, people is the center of the discussion of all the 3 theories I have discussed: behavior change, legitimacy theory, and the 1999's Hallahan's theory of framing. Now, for the guide question. Why do you think the behavior of the people should be considered in making CSR programs? Kindly answer below and provide explanation if needed. This is again your reporter, Norman Ralph Isla. The next reporter is waiting for you.